Hey guys. Hey guys. Blech. Who are you? I hate that. Why did you do that? Ugh. Hey guys, it's Gunnar Deatherage. Welcome back to my channel. As you know, I'm a DIY creator and a fashion designer. I like to take on fun challenges, and today we're making a beautiful, giant Dior-inspired dress on my new dress form. The fun part about this is that it's going to be on a tiny little scale. I also want to say thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video today. Also, make sure that you are commenting, liking, subscribing to my channel. If you are not subscribed yet, you're doing it wrong. So I recently came across a miniature designer. His name's Chris Toledo, and we've actually been following each other on the internet for a long time. His work is incredible. He does these like amazing miniatures. Look at this angel right now. Amazing miniatures. They're like museum quality. They look so realistic. So we're going to be making a dress. We're going to be revealing it in his space. I'm going to make this dress look so real that you don't know it's small until you see it in scale. That's the goal anyway. Whenever I'm looking to collaborate with another artist, I'm always searching for someone who puts as much detail and thought into their work as I do. This idea kind of started a few months ago when Chris's videos came across my page. His miniatures looked so real that they make you question whether the room is real or a mini. He works in a 1:12 scale, meaning that every foot equates to an inch. So when I asked him to make a dress form for me, I actually forgot that it would be about 6 inches. And for those of you that cannot grasp that, that's about half of the size of a Barbie. Chris handmade every piece to this dress form, and it actually bounces on a little spring like a real dress form, which is wild to me. While Chris was working on the dress form, I decided to go fabric shopping, and I went to Mood because they have my favorite fabrics. Okay, so we're fabric shopping. I did find a few things. I only need like half of the yard of everything. This thing is tiny. Okay, so one thing Chris did tell me is that sometimes they will wet the fabric. I took some of this charmeuse and got it wet. And then apparently it makes it a little bit easier to, I don't know, drape. So let's give her a shot. I mean, I think the key to this is going abstract. So that, oh, I love that. Okay, how do I get it to stay? I don't have any tools, help me. I don't know what to do. Okay, let's go get some tools. I want to make sure that this dress looks super real, so I'm trying to make the pleats as small as possible, which is very tricky on this tiny form. Okay, so I have a little bit of this like starch. I'm just gonna like add some of this to the water. I feel like this is gonna help me in the long run. It also might not. Who knows? I'm the most impatient person on the planet, so I definitely blow dried the fabric to get it to dry on the form so that I could actually go in and start gluing it. Do we like the sculpt of that? It's so hard to tell because it's white, but I'm not mad at it. I think it could be a little bit more snatched. So now I have to trim these, but these won't cut fabric. I'll be back. And her whole titty's out. Okay. I have to glue it on up there, okay. When thinking about the design of the bodice, I wanted to make sure that I had a dress that didn't have any seams that were exposed, mainly because the seam on a normal dress that I would use on my machine would look so large on this tiny dress. So keeping that in mind, that's why I decided to do a drapey top rather than a structured one. One of the most important parts of a process for a lot of designers is sketching the dress, but for me it's always been a really big insecurity. My brain is wired to work in a 3D world with sculpting, so 2D art kind of has been a struggle for me. This is where Skillshare comes into play. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. Skillshare offers thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including design, photography, video, and yes, even fashion illustration. Skillshare has classes for all levels of experience, and most classes are under 60 minutes, so it works with most schedules. My goal this year is to take my sketching levels to the next level, so I've been taking painting with watercolors from inspiration to fashion illustration with Katie Rogers. If you've been wanting to learn a new set of skills or brush up on your current repertoire, check out Skillshare. The first 1,000 of my followers to click the link in the description will get a free month trial. I'm not quite sure why, but I'm gonna pattern this. Okay, so I need like 3.5 inches of a circle. The ironic part about my entire art form being centered around math is that I actually failed 2 years of Algebra 1, I got a D in geometry, and I failed Algebra 2. I literally told myself in high school I would never use these skills beyond high school, and here I am, basically doing geometry every single day of my life, all day. My takeaway from high school experience is that learning is completely relative, and when you're interested in learning something and it applies to what you love, you can 100% figure it out if you put your mind to it. So even though she's small, we're gonna press this bitch flat and beautiful. Flat and beautiful. She's not a singer. Oh, yes, there she is. I hope I like this. As I started pinning the dress onto the dress form, I realized this kind of looks like Carrie's wedding dress from Sex and the City, which I have definitely made before, but I am weirdly really liking my version of this better, but I definitely have a few things that I need to work out. It's late. And I've decided that the skirt needs another layer on top of it. I just feel like the ruffle is so stunning and it just lays beautiful. Like if this was a full-scale gown, I would want something else on top of it to tie the two together. One thing I've learned in my years of making clothing is that it's necessary to take a step back, reassess the process, and make sure that you're heading in the right direction. It's definitely hard to do sometimes when you're so stuck in the vision, but adding a second layer to the dress was absolutely the right step. Every once in a while, a project comes along that inspires me to my core and pushes my boundaries, and this project did exactly that. The romance of a mini wedding dress in this stunning mini room is a fantasy that I will forever think about. I think the sign of a successful collaboration is when two different artworks from different worlds can collide and play so harmoniously together. What kind of dress or challenge should I take on next?